All right, good day to you. My name is Fred Oakman, and as always with me today is Mr. Jake Peters. We are PS This Is Awesome, a PlayStation podcast. This is episode 229. This is a show where we share our feelings about the current state of PlayStation. But before we get off the show, I want to invite you all to subscribe to our channel on YouTube, youtube.com/PS This Is Awesome, and go visit us on Twitter at PS This Is Awesome. If you want to make fun of our trophy list on the PlayStation Network, you can find me at anchorless_81, Mr. Jake Peters at JakeSaw01. And as always, you can write the show at psthisisawesome@gmail.com. And most importantly, don't forget to share the show with your friends. Be sure to leave comments and rate the podcast as you see fit. And as a reminder, we are a video podcast as well, and you can watch the show if you prefer over at our YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe to that. And for new and or long-time listeners, we now have a Patreon where you can support the show at a $1 level called the One and Only $1 Club. Head over to patreon.com/PSThisIsAwesome. And you can become a $1 patron just like Jeff Oakman. Thank you, Jeff, for your contribution. Like Jeff, you can become a patron, like I said, and we will get you your die-cut vinyl sticker and a shout-out on the show. Just so you know, Jeff, that sticker is on its way, even though you didn't pay $1 yet because it bills at the beginning of every month. So please stay tuned in through next month so that we actually at least get $1 from you. I'm just kidding. Jeff is a cousin of mine that it was a happy surprise. He'd written in, and I had no idea. He'd been listening to the show for like over a year, which is crazy. Very cool, though. We have listeners out there, and we don't know that they're listening, and they're there. We know you're out there. So thank you, Jeff. We appreciate that. Jake, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm fucking tired. We usually every year we host a get together for Father's Day, and for like my parents, Sarah's parents, my brother, and my grandparents usually show up, my dad's parents, and obviously spouses and my nephews here usually and stuff. So but everyone was fucking ill last weekend, so we postponed it a week until today, and so we had everyone over today. So like the last 3 or 4 days have been just fucking crazy. Like, because I'll be honest, one of the reasons why, and my wife Sarah was like, I wish we almost wouldn't have done it this year. We haven't had a lot of time, blah blah blah. You've been sick, yada yada. But one of the reasons why I love having this party every year is because it forces us to deep clean our house at least once a year. Because it's like, okay, everyone's coming over, we've got to make the house presentable. And I know that's so stupid that like I need to be motivated in that way, but it's, we both work full-time jobs, we have extracurricular activities and stuff. It can sometimes be a challenge to keep up with the housework. And so, like, when we have something like this, even though it's stressful, like, it requires us to get everything cleaned, and it kind of allows us to start over in terms of, like, messing the fuck up out of our house. But my nephew was over. He just turned 3 in May, and tired me at. We were in the pool, and, he's wanting me to throw him in the air and all this crazy shit. And
yeah.
So it was awesome. I was kind of bummed because we got in the pool, and we were in the pool for like half an hour, and then it started raining and the thunder started coming in, so we had to get out, which sucks because the weather was perfect, the pool water was perfect, everything was awesome. But other than that, still recovering from my terrible sinus infection. I'm not like sick anymore, but I'm still like getting all that crap out of me. If I feel it sound a little nasally, that's why. But other than that, doing pretty good. How about you?
Yeah, I'm doing good. We had two concerts last night. We played the Riverside Music Festival. Jake, you joined me.
Did you ever ask anyone why they took the roof off of that fucking stage?
No, there was like that weird, whatever you want to call it, thing over top, but it was hot as hell. It was like 90 degrees. We were outside playing. But yeah, Jake joined me. Jake and his wife and the rest of the Flood came out, and they played. We played 4:30 to 5:30. And we had all kinds of issues on stage with the drum monitors. So those who don't play music, maybe you don't even know, but those speakers on stage that you always see, like when dudes do solos, they put their foot up on, and they're usually setting their foot up on a speaker. And if you think about it, and unless you've really been on stage and you don't know how it works, but like all of the sound is projecting outwards, right? So the band can't really hear what's going on unless they have some speakers coming back at them. And when you're on stage, you do sound check. You're able to get, if I want to hear more of Jake's bass in my monitor, I tell the sound guy, hey, I want to hear more of the bass because I like locking into the rhythm. Or if I need to hear Troy's guitar riffs, or if I need to hear some drums, or if I need to hear more of myself so I can, work with the dynamic stuff. It's very important. Those are monitors. They're called monitors. They're on the stage. And the interesting thing is for probably, honestly, about at least half of our set, our drummer Nate did not have a monitor because it had overheated and it just kind of kicked off. So he was going just based on the amp sound. He had no acoustic at all because I don't use an amp. I go direct into the sound system. So he had a little bit of Troy and a little bit of Jake's bass. It was just drumming based on memory, really, and whatever he could pull out of the wedge in front of me that was shooting past my face back to his drum kit. And we did a really good job considering the technical issues that we had at the show yesterday. But yeah, I thought you guys did a good job, and I was impressed with it. Not like that dude who was running sound to have any issues, and it wasn't his fault. It was a really hot day, and that gear was just baking. Those active speakers were just baking in the sun all day. So
well, that's what I was wondering, because I was actually kind of nervous about my bass amp, just because it was so hot. Obviously, almost all musical gear is black, so it just absorbs the sun.
They have built-in fans and stuff, but it's never enough.
But that's why I was wondering about because they have this outdoor stage at this place we play, and it's really nice. But last year they had a built-on roof. It was imagine a stage with a roof but no walls, and it was awesome. It was perfect. Kept the sun off you and everything. They put a banner up behind you so the back is kind of covered. Mm-hmm. But this year, for whatever reason, they had removed the roof. The pillars were still there, but the roof was gone. And they just stretched this fucking black net over the top of the stage that kind of provided some shade, but it almost felt like it was magnifying the heat, if that makes any sense. Yeah. I mean, it was just, and the worst part about me, the thing that I struggle with the most when I'm playing bass is that if my arm, and I didn't have a sweatband today or yesterday, and if my arm gets too sticky, from sweating, it gets stuck on the body of the bass, and sometimes I'll miss notes because I can't move as well, and I'm not really thinking about it. Get
locked up.
But other than it being hot, it was a good time.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I thought last year's show there was more fun because we played later and it was cooler and there was more people.
Yeah, there weren't as many people there this time.
Yeah.
I just heard thunder, by the way, so we're getting a storm here in a little bit, probably.
Hey, you're probably getting the stuff that just flew over us.
Yeah. So we did that, and there wasn't really a whole lot else going on. I've been running, so like an idiot yesterday before the show. I've been using this Nike app, and they give you a plan, a rubric to follow. This is what you're going to do this week. This is what you're going to do the next week. It just keeps going, right? Until you tell it you don't want to do a plan anymore. I set an 8-week plan to run a 5K, which is ridiculous because a 5K shouldn't take long at all. I'm already running 4 miles now, but I'm in week 3. But it's just, I didn't want to hurt myself. I know last year I went at it and then I kind of quit because my knee started hurting and I started getting some pain in my feet and stuff. So I wasn't as ambitious after I had those injuries last year. So I'm trying to get back into it. But yesterday, Saturday morning, we're recording this on Sunday, I thought I would have, they're interval runs, right? I've done some interval runs, not a big deal. This is called hill running, hill intervals. And I'm well, shit, that ain't that bad. And I have I live on this brick road that's almost 90 degrees straight up. If in terms of running, it is a hill. It's a legit hill. So I went out early in the morning and, I'm oh yeah, I can run. I can do 45 seconds at a 7 effort, up that hill, no problem. And then I can do a 10 out of 10 effort for 15 seconds. That's what this interval thing was with a minute break as you go back down the hill, jog back down. And then another 30-second break when you run full speed, you get 30 seconds to jog back down from your 15-second sprint. But you do this for 25 minutes straight. And it's they just go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And you're oh, fuck, dude. By the end of it, I felt I wanted to die. But I felt good because, I was actually holding, as the, man, what were they called? New Kids on the Blocks would say, I was hanging tough. So
So what is it? How does it determine effort level?
You determine your own effort. You just know. You know what I mean? Like, you know. So like they describe it as like a 6 out of 10 would be like your if you're running like a 10K or anything more, like a 10K or more would be like a 6 or a 5.
Like your pace
yes.
for a 10K?
Yeah, like a pace, like your speed.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense.
So they say not to equate effort with speed on the app, because they still want you to make the effort. And like, I guess that makes sense because, you know, if you're conscientiously trying to maintain a specific tempo or speed, that requires effort, and they don't want you to be like a lazy ass runner. They still want you to have like good form, you know, lean forward a little bit, like just make sure you're running correctly. Like a 6 effort doesn't mean that you're just kind of like just running around like an asshole. Like, it means that you're still fucking running, but you're able to have like a conversation if you need to. You know what I mean? Like, you're not like winding yourself. But a 10 would be as fast as you can run without grimacing and like maintaining your composure. So like that's like pretty much a sprint if you're not like in pain. You know what I mean? So yeah. So I think they describe like your 5K pace is like a 7. So yeah, it's really cool. So these workouts they give you, they give you an idea of what pace to start at. Your warm up, they say go at like a 6 pace or whatever, and you just fucking go through all this shit. And like, the time you're done with it, like I felt great, dude. I felt great. And you know, to be honest, after one of my land played, after playing in the sun for an hour with the flood, and then taking like 4 hours off and going and playing an hour in it was smoky in there in that bar, dude. I wasn't winded at all, but I was sweating like hell. But like, I wasn't like winded or exhausted at all. The only thing that was happening was my voice was kind of starting to die on me just from screaming so much. But it was good, man. I'm feeling the benefits of running already.
Dude, I was after that show, just because we had done so much just getting ready for this party and stuff and everything, you know, after standing in the sun for 2 hours or a little more than that, because we stayed a little bit and watched the group after us. We fucking went home. We got home. We picked up some food on the way back. We stopped. We ran up to the ice cream place and got some ice cream and came back, and we just freaking vegged and passed out, dude. I was so worn out just from like standing and like in the just being in the sun, you know. I mean, you know, it takes a lot out of you.
But you're also still recovering from your infection or whatever.
That's probably part of it.
Your health isn't full on. But yeah, man, I woke up in the morning. I was like, I gotta fucking charge up, and I was just like, I'm gonna run. I'm gonna fucking get my energy up. I'm gonna feel good. It's funny because at the end of the night, Nate came back out to see our One Up by Land concert. Him and his girlfriend Alexandria, and she loved One Up by Land. Like, she was like all about it. She's like, oh my god, I had no idea that, you know, you did this. You and Troy did this. And I was like, oh yeah, it's fun. She was like speaking her language, and they had a good time. But like, I was talking with Nate that night, and I said, dude, like when we're done with like 3-hour sets, like let's say we go play the break wall and we get home and it's like 10 at night or something. I was like, I need to know, like when you finally peel your socks off, maybe you take a shower, maybe you don't, maybe you clean up a little bit, maybe you don't, but like when you finally lay the hell down on like a couch or a bed, are you like, can you, like, do you know like if you make a noise? Because like, dude, when I lay down in after like a long night, I'm just like, whoo, like I'm giddy with excitement of how comfortable my body finally is after all the loading and all the playing and all the like, just the mental kind of stress of being in front of people. Like, man, it is so nice to be back home and be like, okay, there's another nail in the coffin. Like, it just feels good. Do you get that way? Like after a gig, like, do you like just when you put your feet up, you're like, oh man, this feels so much better than had I, you know, it's so great. I don't know.
I do. I don't know if it's like it's probably not the same as I feel like if I've been, you know, for me, like that is more like, oh, I've been traveling all day, or like I've been, you know, working really hard all day or something like that. But I get that way sometimes at our shows. It really depends on
how the show goes,
how active they are, and honestly how many beers I've had. Because like some of the shows that we do, are relatively passive, especially if you don't have like an engaged audience,
right.
you're playing to a few people or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, a lot of it is just getting off your fucking feet. But usually our drive home is so fucking long most of the time, because usually we have to drive quite a ways, that like I've kind of chilled out by the time I got home, and then I just kind of either watch something or just go straight to bed.
I can appreciate that. Yeah. I don't know, man. With me, it's just like on days that we have gigs, I'm getting up, I'm checking the set list, I'm making sure we have set lists, I'm doing all the social media stuff, I'm trying to prep beforehand, make sure my stuff's loaded up, I'm trying, just double checking times, making sure we're there on time. I usually try to get there earlier just to make sure, and then like it makes a long day, man. But yeah, I hear you for sure. I don't know. Well, Jake, we're here to talk about podcasts or games on this podcast. Jeez, I can't even talk. And let's talk about, well, first off, before we get into games that we're playing, let's talk a little bit about some interaction we've had with some listeners. And Jeff, the new patron, the longtime listener, did write into the show. So I want to discuss something that he brought up. First off, he wanted to acknowledge that LJ did a great job in your absence, Jake, and maintained the spirit of the show, and I agree. So thanks for saying that, Jeff. And of course, we thank you, LJ, and I'm sure you're listening as well because you're a patron as well of the show. So thank you for that. And maybe we'll have LJ on again, like we did with your brother sometime, and that was kind of fun. And as far as remakes and remasters, Jeff writes, because he's a new patron, I wanted to share this, and this is a little long, but it's to what we talked about last episode, Jake, and maybe you can add to this since you weren't on that show. But Jeff says, remakes and remasters, you shared some sentiment about The Last of Us, and why would we pay a full price for this game? Thank you. Good Lord, the last several years, I feel like we've been flooded with remakes and remasters. Sony's forcing The Last of Us now. This game was released 9 years ago this month. It's already been remastered, and now they're releasing a remake and charging a full game price for this. What's going on? I feel like this is crazy. It's the same game, just with updated graphics and faster loading, but the exact same experience story-wise. My thoughts are that, yes, The Last of Us was a great story. I still haven't played the second one, but I'm aware of the differing opinions on it. But they're taking the Bethesda approach with Skyrim and milking this game dry. But I don't think it's just The Last of Us. I feel like the past few years we've been inundated with remakes and remasters. And every time there's one for a game I used to love, I'll play it and I'm underwhelmed. They're usually still good, but it never quite captures the nostalgia I had when I loved it at a younger age. But that's because I've already experienced the story and know what'll happen. There seems to be a general creativity block in the industry recently where new ideas and new IPs are harder to come by and further between. Of course, I could be imagining that too, but when I think about Naughty Dog spending development time on re-releasing The Last of Us a third time in the past 9 years, I can't help but wonder what they could have been creating as a new experience instead. I know Factions is coming eventually too, and that will probably be a standalone full-price multiplayer game, but it's not just games. I feel like movie industry has gone this way too the past decade. You could speak to the music industry better. I wonder if there's a bit of this remaking or remixing going on there as well. As for games, I would love to see development time and dollars be invested into new experiences rather than remaking and remastering games and stories I've already done before. I can speak briefly about the music thing. It's not really relevant to the podcast, but it is that we're musicians, Jake. I think this has been a thing with music for a long time. We see it a lot in like rap. They resample old classic rock songs or classic, disco songs or beats, and then they'll just kind of turn it into something else. So they're not really remaking something. They're borrowing a lot of stuff that's already written and turning it into something fresh. We see, man, I don't know how many times, what's that song? Paved Parking Lot, put up whatever.
Counting Crows.
Yeah, they covered that. Someone else, Green Day, I think, might have covered that. Don't It Always Seem to Go, You Don't Always Got Till It's Gone, that thing. So that song's been covered a million times and been made famous different times. Movies, yes, A Star Is Born for sure. That's been redone 3 times now. How many Spider-Man movies do we have that are like retelling the beginning of Peter Parker? Same with Batman. We see it all the time. Music, it seems to come and go. like whenever like a new genre picks up again, or an old genre becomes like more radio friendly again, like, you know, if punk ever gets a resurgence, I'm sure we're gonna get like punk covers of like, I don't know, maybe, you know, Lady Gaga songs or something down the road. You know what I mean? That'll be like the cool things to cover like the R&B pop songs in a different format. But we always have stuff like that. I don't know. I've never really done, as a musician, I've never really, you know, we've done covers, you know, The Flood, we'll do a few covers in an evening, like 3 or 4 covers, but never. It's just interesting when you see the example that I use a lot when I play out is this, and more so with music, it's the performers typically nowadays, if they're famous, aren't necessarily the authors of the music. So for instance, Jason Isbell's a Grammy Award winner, great singer-songwriter. He wrote a song that was performed by Bradley Cooper in A Star Is Born. Bradley Cooper, it's not maybe the one that you guys are thinking of, but Bradley Cooper plays a song in the movie. I think even on the soundtrack, it's him singing Jason's song. And then Eddie Vedder from Pearl Jam covered that song, and Pearl Jam blew up huge on YouTube for covering that song that whatever I said his name was, Bradley Cooper sang, that Jason Isbell wrote. And then the Pearl Jam video blew up of them playing the song live because that movie had a lot of traction at the time. Eddie Vedder did a great job singing the song. But I think a lot of people don't even trace it back. They probably think it's just a Pearl Jam song. Like, people don't know. That's what really bothers me about music is like, because I know how hard it is to write a song, and I have yet to find Jason Isbell playing his own song. He probably signed off the rights to do it. I'm sure he made a ton of money on it. But I mean, it's interesting that, you know, with music, it gets lost in the mix. You know what I mean? You don't really know who writes these songs that you're on the radio. You know, that's what's so cool about man, who has the 1984 record or something? Is that Katy Perry? Who no.
You're talking about 1989 by Taylor Swift.
Yeah, Taylor Swift. She writes all of her own music from what I understand. Yeah. Which is what's so cool about Taylor Swift. And I'm not a huge fan, but I can appreciate what she's doing because she's writing her own music. And like, there's from a songwriter to like, you know, when you look at that, it's really interesting. 'Cause a lot of these pop stars don't. They get handed songs and pretty much told what to do and how to sing them. And then, you know, you're really just buying their voice when you buy their music or listen to their music. It's not across the board that way, but it's more than you would think. So when it comes to remakes and stuff within the music industry, the thing that bothers me the most is like the authors of these songs and the writers of these songs. They get credit in liner notes, but liner notes don't even really exist anymore because everything's digital. You know what I mean? So no one really fucking knows who writes what unless you really pay attention and try to figure it out. So it's just it's been that way for a long time. A lot of those old 50s songs too weren't always written by those guys. You know what I mean? When I say guys, I mean like Buddy Holly and you know, Johnny Cash, and, you know, Elvis specifically didn't write a lot of his own music. But a lot of people don't know that. But it's kind of that way in pop culture with songwriting. There's a great documentary on Netflix. I think it's called The Wrecking Crew. It's about like this house band of guys that were just fantastic back in the day, and they'd come in and they're on like some of your favorite classic rock records. You don't even know it's these guys. They're playing a lot of the instrumentation of these songs. You know, but anyways, enough about that. But it's a cool documentary. But to answer your question, Jeff, yeah, we see it all over. I'm sick of it too, man, and I'm excited to see what the 2 new games that Naughty Dog are putting together are. Jake, do you have any input on that, what Jeff wrote in about?
So, yeah, I mean, the music industry has been doing it for literally ever. And if you're talking about specifically remasters, I mean, if you think about artists like the Beatles, Michael Jackson, stuff like that, like their albums have been being remixed and remastered and re-released forever. And so I honestly think that they are probably, along with the movie industry, you think about like Star Wars was re-released in the theaters in the late 90s, the original trilogy, they like remastered it, and put it out. So it's not surprising that this is coming to games. What it boils down to is money. So people will buy this again. And to be clear, the thing that bothers me the most about this re-release of The Last of Us is not that they're doing it. What bothers me is that they're calling it a remake, and they're using that term very loosely, and that they're charging $70 for it. So the fact that they're re-releasing it, it's a PS5 version. It's got much better graphics. They like made it a little bit more like The Last of Us Part 2 graphically. Plus they have, maybe some updated control schemes and accessibility options and shit, whatever. But the thing that bothers me about it is not that they're doing it. The fact that they're calling it a remake when literally all that they're doing is that they're just swapping models out and updating the lighting and stuff like that. It's a remaster. I mean, a lot of these and I don't know this for a fact, but sort of whispers in the industry are saying that like they're probably just using the young Ellie and Joel models from the flashbacks in The Last of Us Part 2. So they didn't even have to probably do a ton of work. Like, so that's what I mean is like they're calling it a remake, but like they didn't really do anything. I mean, yeah, they probably pulled it back into Naughty Dog because they wanted it to be perfect and they wanted it to look authentic and true and they wanted to have their stamp on it, yada, yada. I understand that. They want to have control over the creative license. But like the fact that to me, this is like a $50 or $40 release. No. This isn't a $70 release. Now, if they were including factions with it or something like that, then okay, that's a different story. But they're not. So to me, it's like at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. No, there's probably a ton of people that have a PS5 that never played The Last of Us, and this is a great opportunity for them to play it. And honestly, I don't even mind them charging $70 for a new license for the game. That's the new version. But me, as a previous owner
of both copies,
should be able to upgrade to this version for free. If not for free, then for a very low price compared to maybe like $20 or something like that. Yeah. Because there's nothing about like The Last of Us Remastered versus The Last of Us Part 1 is what they're calling it. And I made a joke like a couple weeks ago where I said, I think that the whole reason why they're doing this is literally so they can rename the game The Last of Us Part 1. And I kind of stand by that because it's like, okay, now it's, contiguous with The Last of Us Part 2 and like in nomenclature and all this stuff. But and maybe there is an upgrade scheme that we don't know about yet or something, or maybe it's out there and I just don't know about it. But it seems to me like even though I fucking own The Last of Us Remastered on PS4, and even though I own the original release of The Last of Us on PS3, I would have to pay $70 to buy this all over again.
Yeah.
I can't just upgrade it to the new version, even for a reduced fee. So that is what bothers me the most about it. And it's something that Sony is going to do as long as they can get away with it. So to me, it's like if you can get your money, fucking get your money. But until the market speaks, like they're going to do this. So either this thing has to flop so that they don't do it again, or they're going to keep doing it. And my gut says that the people that like The Last of Us, that love The Last of Us, are going to buy this. And they're going to have enough like new entries, people that are new to PlayStation with PS5 and stuff that are going to pay $70 for this. And that's fine. Because please don't get me wrong. If I'm a new PlayStation gamer and I have never played The Last of Us before, this is 100% worth $70. But if I am experienced PlayStation gamer, I already have the game and everything, it is not worth it. And maybe it's not for me and you. Maybe it's only for the people that have never played it before. But I don't know. That's I guess my take on it. I don't really have a problem with remakes and remasters, especially if they're like old games, like you talk about the Spyro trilogy or the Crash trilogy, like really old early polygonal games that they're bringing into the new generation. Like in PS3 they had the remasters of like the Sly Cooper games and the Ratchet and Clank games. Those were really good. Sony really like started this trend in the PS3 generation, and they're just continuing it forward and they're just taking it to the next level. But so I don't know. I'm kind of indifferent about it, but I do agree that and I don't think that it's a big deal that Naughty Dog did this, because yeah, it probably took some of their resources, but I don't think they really had to do that much that it's detracting from Factions or, you know, the new game, whatever that is.
Yeah, it's hard to say how many people they assigned to it. That's good input. And then piggybacking off of what you're saying there, Jake, we had LJ and I had talked briefly because they had announced the title of the second installment of Final Fantasy VII Remake. It was called Rebirth, I believe, or something like that. And we had discussed that game. Now, neither he nor I have played this. And, you know, we were just kind of talking, not yet, it's on my list, and we were talking about it, and then it had come up on the show whether you know, LJ had asked, like, had they stayed with the original story, or have they, like, injected different stuff? Are they keeping to the story of Final Fantasy VII, or are they moving? And honestly, I wasn't sure at the time. And then we kind of got on the side rail and started talking about how, like, we were upset about remakes and remasters. And I think I did bring up the Final Fantasy VII remake, but everyone's really excited about it. And to credit, on our YouTube channel, we had a response to that from Gustav Promenik, I think, if I'm spelling your name correct or pronouncing correct. He indicated that he said, also, spoiler, Final Fantasy VII Remake is not following the original story. It's a complete reboot. And then he also indicated that comparing it to Resident Evil or The Last of Us remake would be absurd, because the latter two didn't need a remake, and indicating that Final Fantasy VII kind of did. So, and then on top of that, I asked him if he thought they were doing a good job, and Gustav says that the pacing is a bit off. His opinion, some of the stuff like puzzles drags on a little too long, but the story's good enough for him, and he'd have preferred the original story, but he doesn't mind this one either, and he'll reserve his judgment until part 3 comes out. And he said, gameplay-wise, especially in boss battles, and this might be a hot take, this is a better game than every other PlayStation exclusive, including God of War. It's that good. So I think that's his way of trying to encourage me to try to play the game. So thanks for writing in.
I don't know.
On the channel,
yeah, I don't know that I agree with him on the battle system. It is good. Don't get me wrong. It's way better than I expected it to be.
And you did play
it,
so yeah.
Better? Yeah, but is it better than God of War in that? I don't know. That is kind of a spicy take. But I will say that, yeah, they my biggest problem with Final Fantasy VII Remake was not that they kind of altered the telling of the story. And to be clear, the story is basically the same. They did alter some stuff that I would have preferred that they didn't, but most of it was just, I think, was convenience to kind of fit with like a modern play style. And the other thing that they did too, the thing that actually bothered me the most about it, and maybe the listener would agree with this, is that they just added a bunch of filler shit in it that I don't think was necessary. Like, the game ended up being 50 hours long for a section of Final Fantasy VII that in the original game took like 4 to 5 hours. So to me, that was the biggest problem. And that might be part of the reason why the story is the way that it is that they just fucking bloated it up like 10 times when they could have just, shrunk that shit down to like a 20 to 25 hour experience, and it would have been much more concise. There is kind of an important element to the story that they changed, or a character that they introduced early that kind of irritates me. Like, I don't know why they did that. But other than that, it is a great game. So, yeah. But enough about remakes. We've been talking about this for a while.
And before we get on to the games that we're playing right now, Jake, I do want to add that you and I, we've been very obvious and transparent with the listeners about how we've been griping about using Zoom for our podcast. We have a listener, Ryan Betson. He wrote into us on Twitter, and he wanted to encourage us to try to make a move to Discord to solve our technical issues with the podcast, with doing the video chat that we do, and we put the YouTube video up, and for getting clear audio. This is something we were going to look into, and we definitely did. We did it for this episode, so we shouldn't be cutting out in the middle. So thanks, Ryan, for writing in. If you guys don't know who Ryan Betson is, he hosts a podcast called the Pop culturists. So I wanted to give him a thank you and a shout out on our show. I had texted him back, Jake, at one point, and was like, dude, we should do like some cross promo. We'll get on your show. You can come onto our show. It'd be fun. And he's all about it. So maybe we'll have him on as a guest at some point, especially since he's using the Discord format already. We're using it. It probably wouldn't be hard to rope him in, have a maybe a special episode or something with Ryan on the show, and he can join in some video game talk with us. But yeah, so anyways, that's something maybe down the pike. And Jake, now that we've gotten through all of the cleaning up from all of the emails, and we do appreciate you guys writing us and communicating with us. It feels good to have some listener, whatever you want, communication to talk about. Let's talk about games we're playing. So I'm further into Mass Effect 2, and we're not going to talk about Mass Effect 2 because we're going to have a spoiler episode about it. But I'm really liking it, and I'm just going to leave it there. And then I finally started. I've accumulated enough money now to do the Dr. Dre missions in Grand Theft Auto 5. Very hard earned on my part. Very hard earned. Spent some time in the casino in the game. Did some missions. Did some not so very nice things to people in the game to get my money. And it's funny because the first mission, you buy like a business office, right? It's like an agency. And Franklin from GTA 5, one of the NPCs in the single-player game, is running this agency. He's like, listen, man, I'm the face of the agency, and you're going to be behind the scenes. And we're going to be like fixers and problem solvers for high-profile people in the city. And he says, we just don't have that high-profile person yet. You know, in the whole online section, anytime the radio's on, it's like, oh, it's Dre Day or whatever, and they're talking about how someone stole his mixtape. Every once in a while, I'll show up on the radio, you're driving around. Get a call from Franklin, and he says, hey, man, I think it's happening. Meet me at the golf course. We're going to meet the guy. We're going to meet, and he goes, I think this is the one that's going to blow us up. If we can get this one down, we're going to be running this city, as far as like being the agency to get a hold of to fix problems. And you go to the golf course, and Dre's out there golfing, and it's him in GTA. It's so awesome. So he's like hitting the ball and stuff, and there's like some two guys roll up on him, and like, wow, we're trying to have a business conversation on whatever hole we're on, and the two guys are getting really pissed off, and they're like, hey, you can play through, let us play through. And he's like, you don't know who the fuck you're talking to, and then you're there with your business partner, Franklin. And Dre's like, man, take care of these guys for me real quick. If you guys can take care of these guys, then the gig's yours, So like these guys take off on a golf cart, and they just start going through the city, and you and Franklin have to chase these guys down and like threaten them and stuff. And then as soon as you call Dre and say it's taken care of, then you're in. So it's so cool. I haven't gotten any further in it. Very fun. I'm enjoying it. Right up my alley. I love it. I'm glad I'm playing it because it's such an old game at this point. It's like probably 8 or 9 years old. I don't know how old Grand Theft Auto 5 is. So what have you been playing? This is where I left things off at.
So are you were done? Those are all the games you played?
Well, I did play a little bit of the Nickelodeon Brawlers. We should probably tell the audience we plan on talking about that this episode, but Jake's been sick, so we haven't had a chance to really go through it. I played some of that, and I have opinions on it, but we're going to talk about that next show. Aside from that, that's all I've been playing.
Okay. So, it's been 2 weeks since I've been on. So, I've been playing Mass Effect 2. I'm like 30 some hours in. Just doing a lot of the loyalty missions. If you're familiar with Mass Effect 2, you'll know what I'm talking about. There's a lot of them to do. So, if you want to get loyalty for all of your party members, so I've been kind of going through that a little bit. And then I played the demo for Metal Hellsinger.
Oh shit, I played it too. I forgot. Yeah, go ahead.
And then so to be fair, that demo is fucking awesome. I will admit that like I'm really bad at it. Like it requires a level. The thing is that literally imagine playing Doom, but like the new reboot of Doom where everything's super fast and you're like kind of shooting around, fighting enemies, like trying to pick up health as you go, stuff like that, because there's no regenerating health. You have to pick it up. Yeah. Imagine that, but you have to time all of your shots to the beat, and you have to like try to keep building your multiplier up. It gets very challenging. But I did finish the demo. I was able to get all the way through it and beat the boss of the level or whatever.
I did not.
I think it's fucking cool. Like, I think the music is awesome. I love how the music builds as your multiplier builds. I mean, I love metal, heavy metal, so like the fucking soundtrack is awesome so far, even though I've only heard 2 songs off of it. The one thing that I will say, and I love that it's an arcade style, and the boss, when you fight, did you even get to the boss?
No, dude. No.
Okay. So the boss is
it's fucking tough.
It is tough. The boss shoots projectiles at you in patterns, almost like, you know, like a Returnal or a Resogun or something like that. So it's very arcadey. You're getting a score the whole time. So it's all about getting the high score and being on leaderboards and shit like that.
Yeah.
It's very arcadey, which I wasn't expecting. Which I guess I should have expected. But the one thing that I will say is that if they institute a mode where it's like infinite lives, or you can just continue and you don't have to like restart levels if you die too many times, I will almost certainly play this game when it comes out. But if it's like, if this is the only mode and it's like after 2 respawns, you have to restart the level all over again, I probably won't, just because I don't have the time to like master every fucking level.
Yeah.
And even though like I love the concept, I love the idea. Now I might pick it up on a sale or something because, you know, like I said, the soundtrack is dope. And honestly, I wouldn't be as offended by and who knows how this will pan out. But if like when you die, you have the option to like select any of the worlds. So like you don't have to like go from start to finish. And let's say like I'm just really bad at the game and I'm stuck on the same fucking level, the same fucking song over and over and over and over and over forever and ever until I get good at it. If I have the ability to say like, okay, this one's a little tough for me, I'm going to switch over and play this other level instead and try to do that. Kind of like the Robot Masters in Mega Man or something. That would be kind of a cool like workaround. I might be kind of interested in trying it if that's the case. But we just don't know. Yeah. At least I'm not aware of some of these details yet. So we'll have to see how that pans out. So I really like that. The other thing that I've been playing that I actually played while I was on not this past week, the week before that, I was on a work trip. And I always take my Xbox because I don't want my PlayStation to get damaged. And I played Nobody Saves the World for that whole time I was gone.
I heard it's awesome. I don't know if you remember
that. Yeah, that's the new game by Drinkbox, who did Guacamelee, Mutant Blobs Attack, Severed. They've been historically like a PlayStation specific brand, but this most recent game they did as a launch exclusive on Game Pass. And then it's now since released on PlayStation, but it was a late release on PlayStation. And so I was playing it because I have Game Pass, and I was like, fuck it, I'll jump into this. And it is really cool. The whole idea is that you're this character called Nobody. You're just like a white kind of like humanoid who has no real features. And then you're like really, really bad at attacking enemies. Like you do this really wimpy like slap when you're trying to attack them. But then you you get this magic wand and you have the ability to like transform into these different forms, and they're all like different things. Like one of them is the first one you get is like a rat, and they have abilities that are specific to the form that you are. Like the rat's ability is like his main attack is a bite, and when you bite the bad guys you poison them because you're a rat, and you know it's just kind of thematic. And then it has like, but it's like it doesn't do a lot of damage, but the poison builds up. And then you have this like special attack where when you attack them it uses like essentially mana, and you can like regenerate health if you use that.
Yeah.
And then like another form that you have is a guard, and you're like a human guard, and you run around and like you don't move very fast, but you have a sword and you can swing, and you do like slice damage, and you can build up like it's all the attacks are very thematic to the form that you have. The other thing, like the mouse, like you'll be in a dungeon or something, and there'll be like a mouse hole in the wall. And if you transform into the mouse, you can go through and like solve puzzles and stuff that way, or like find secret areas. There's another form that is like you're a horse and you have to like face away from the enemies, but when you kick them, they go flying into the wall and it does a shitload of damage to them. There's like an archer. There's all kinds. I haven't gotten super far, so I only have like maybe 5 or 6 forms. But it's like it's the combat, the style is very, very early Zelda. So think of like Link to the Past, like from on the SNES, where it's like kind of isometric top down, but you're like running around, and the combat is very like one button, except for you have like you have a special attack or something like that. But one of the cool features is that once you get to a certain point, you get the ability to like combine, like let's say you want to be a guard because you like the main attack, but you like the special attack that the rat has because it gives you health back. You unlock the ability to like use your wand to combine forms so that you can use the abilities from one form to another and stuff. It's very, very cool. And I highly recommend, especially if it comes up on a sale or something, people check it out, because I have really been enjoying playing it, to be honest.
Yeah. Good, man. I'm glad you're dipping your toes into something new, a new game. It's always fun to find a new game and enjoy it, especially when it kind of takes you by surprise. I know there are some people who are pretty outspoken about that game being good, but it's not one of those games that like got a lot of attention. So those are always like the little gems in gaming to find and try out. So cool. All right, well, let's get on with the news, Jake. If you're a returning listener, you know that we like to do the quizzes over at Push Square. And pushsquare.com is where we get a lot of our news points as well to discuss on the show. They do good work over there, but they have these quizzes, and they're usually 15 questions long. They're general knowledge quizzes about PlayStation, and we always try our knowledge, and we try to do well on these quizzes. And it's our way of showing you just how little we know about PlayStation. Welcome to the PS This Is Awesome Patreon page. For those of you that don't know, my name is Fred Oakman.
And I'm Jake Peters.
And we're a PlayStation podcast currently in our 10th year. Our first episode aired in July of 2012, where we discussed and speculated on the arrival of the PS4. Over the years, we've used this podcast to take a break from adulting, share our love of video games, and in particular, PlayStation.
The audio podcast is available on all major streaming services, and we have recently made the leap to uploading video content and video podcasting to our YouTube channel, as well as the very occasional Twitter post or live stream. Over the years, we have covered everything from PS3 to PS Vita through the launches of PS4, PSVR, and now PS5. As our audience has grown over the years, we have decided to start this Patreon with the hopes of creating a medium in which we can give you the opportunity to help support our show.
And as a test bed, we're starting with a single tier. It's called the one and only $1 Club. So with your support at the $1 level, we're going to mail you a premium vinyl cut sticker and give you a shout out on the podcast. But at this time, unfortunately, we can only ship to the US and Canada. But this is subject to change depending on your interest.
So whether you're new to the show or you're a frequent flyer, we are forever thankful for your support and hope you can find it in your little gaming heart to join us in the one and only $1 Club. Until next time, like PlayStation, podcasting, and Patreon, P.S. This
So
is
let's talk
awesome.
about question number 1. Who does Chloe Fraser team up with for most of the game in Uncharted: The Lost Legacy? Let's give them the answers. Charlie Cutter, Nadine Ross, Nathan Drake, or Elena Fisher. That's a no-brainer. That's Nadine Ross.
Yep.
All right, Nadine Ross, correct. Ooh, Jake, you're gonna have to help us with this next one. I haven't gotten to this game yet, but you've played it. In Mass Effect 3, which alien race starts a poorly timed war with the Geth as the Reapers invade the galaxy? Is it the Quarians, the Turians, the Solarians, or the Krogan? I'm guessing the Krogan, but you tell me. Do you know?
I honestly don't remember. It's been so... I played Mass Effect 3 when it came out, but I haven't played it since, so I don't... Let's see. With the Geth, I'm going to guess if it's with the Geth, it's probably the Quarians.
The Quarians? Which ones are the Quarians again?
Yeah. That's the Tali Zora, where it's the girl with like you can't see her face, but it's like a opaque face shield.
Yeah. All right, well, let's pick...
Super cool character design.
Yeah, let's pick the Quarians and see. Good job, Jake. Man. 2 of 2, guys. Which of these PS4 fighting games received a graphics overhaul several months after launch? Was it BlazBlue Chrono Phantasma, King of Fighters 14, Mortal Kombat X, or Naruto Shippuden Ultimate Ninja Storm 4? It definitely wasn't Mortal Kombat. Well,
I think it's King of Fighters. What's funny is that the image that they show is of Tekken, and it's not one of the
option.
One of the answers or options. I think it's King of Fighters 14 because I feel like I remember hearing somewhere that people really did not like the graphics when that came out.
I agree. I think you're right on this. Let's pick King of Fighters 14. Correct. 3 of 3, guy. Here we go. Which of these
this next one too.
Yeah, which of these PS3 shooters are set in Dubai? Battlefield 3, Spec Ops: The Line, Crysis 2, or Resistance 2? It's Spec Ops, right?
Yep.
Spec Ops.
Spec Ops: The Line. Awesome game. I wish they would re-release. Talk about games they need to fucking remaster or re-release.
Oh shit.
Spec Ops: The Line.
100%. Come out with the second one for crying
too.
out loud. I'd love to play that game again, honestly. So we got 4 of 4.
I'm not going to get this next one unless it's a guess.
How many One Piece Pirate Warrior games are there on the PlayStation consoles? 3, 4, 5, or 6? There's definitely more than 3. There could be. I bet you it's 6. If I had to guess, I bet you there's 6.
I have no idea, dude.
Let's go all out and say 6. You go with 6? I've seen One Piece so many times in our new games thing. There has to be 6. Pirate Warriors, though, specifically. Should we play it safe and go 5?
Dude, just pick something because I have no idea. I haven't even like.
They say trust your gut. I'm going 6. It's 4. Nothing I said was right. All right, we missed one. Who is this Final Fantasy 12 character pictured? It's a dude with like a sword. He's got long boots. He's got blonde hair. He looks like every other protagonist. Is it Vaughn, Redos, Balthier, or Bosch? Basch, not to be confused with Bosch, the TV show that I love. Oh man. I want to say Balthier is definitely a character, I believe, in Final Fantasy.
Final Fantasy 12, though.
That I don't know. I've never played. He looks like a Van to me, like a Vaughn, Vaan.
Yeah, either a Vaughn or like a maybe a Bosch.
I'm letting you pick this one. You got to pick one.
Pick Bosch.
Correct. Good job, Jake.
That was a guess.
Hey, we got it. So what was the first Diablo game to release on PlayStation console? Diablo, Diablo 2 Resurrected, Diablo 2, or Diablo 3? Diablo.
Wasn't the first one on the original PlayStation?
I doubt it. Can't look it up. Don't look it up. Can't look it up. I saw your inquisitive eyes. You can't look this up. It's cheating.
Sorry, I just instinctively started looking it up. I think it was
Diablo.
I'm pretty sure it was. Yeah, I think the original Diablo was on PlayStation.
Good job. And you didn't cheat on that, right?
No, I didn't. I started looking it up and then I.
All right. Question 8 of 15. We've missed 2. In what year? No, we only missed 1, right?
Fuck, I don't know.
Yeah, dude, we've only missed 1 so far. Question 8. In what year did free-to-play Juggernaut Warframe release on PS4? It was like a release game.
Yeah, it was. It for sure was. So 2013.
Boom. Correct. Who is an unlockable character in Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge? Casey Jones. We know about this. They just announced it. I'm guessing he's unlockable. Yeah. Actually, I don't know if he's unlockable or not, but...
I'm sure he is. I just picked Casey Jones because he's the one we know.
Yep, we got it. All right. What average Metacritic score does PS1 Classic Crash Team Racing have? 88, 83, 95, or 92? Ooh. It's probably 92.
Don't like all of these that we pick, aren't they like high 80s? Every time we get one of these.
I know Crash Team Racing is very beloved.
Yeah, I know. But like every time we get one of these, it's like fucking high 80s.
Let's go 88. 88. Got it. Good job, Jake. That's ridiculous. Dude, we've only missed one. Question 11 of 15. In PS1 platformer Pandemonium, heroes Fargus and Nikki set out on a quest to find what magical device. Is it a magic spoon, a wishing engine, a dragon's tear, or a dimensional door? And Pandemonium.
I'm going to say dragon's tear.
I bet you it's
Another
dimensional door, but I agree that it should be a dragon's tear, if anything. Well, the way that it's worded is a magical device.
Oh, maybe it is like...
The wishing engine
like
or the dimension? I
engine.
bet you it's the wishing engine, just based on the question.
Huh.
What do you think? I didn't pick anything yet. You want to?
I mean, I get what you're saying. That would make the most sense if you're focusing on the word device.
Let's go wishing engine. Saved us. Yes. Got it. All right. What fictional city does Saints Row the Third take place in? Las Velcro, Brick City, Hard Gum, or Steelport? Probably Brick City.
Steelport is the only one that like sounds like it could be a real city, though.
Let's do Steelport. Correct. Unbelievable. Oh my gosh. 13 of 15. Only one incorrect
Guessing
answer.
good this time.
Which of these gameplay mechanics did Max Payne 3 introduced to the series? Was it the cover?
You're gonna have to answer this. I didn't play Max Payne 3.
The cover system, I think. I don't think any other games had a cover system. They all had bullet time. Paragliding. I don't remember paragliding in Max Payne 3. And you definitely don't frickin' sword fight. I'm gonna go cover system. Correct. Oh, buddy. And I've played this game. What kind of bird do you play as in PS4 indie hit Death Door? Is it a raven, a magpie, a crow, or a hawk? I'm pretty sure.
First of all, it pisses me off that they included both raven and crow.
I know, because they both look the same.
They're basically the same fucking bird. But I think it's like a crow, isn't it?
That's what I was going to say. I'm pretty sure you're a crow. Correct. Oh my God, I can't believe this is going to be the best PlayStation quiz we've done yet. Last question, we've only missed one, listeners. Which former PlayStation employee first unveiled the PS4 in person at E3 2013? Was it Sean Layden, Andrew House, Jack Tretton, or Kazuo Hirai?
Wasn't it Andy House?
That's what I was going to say. I think it was Andy House. Should we do it?
Yeah.
Boom! 14 to 15. That's the best we've ever done. And there's your knowledge drop, listeners. Fantastic. There's a reason why we have a podcast about PlayStation.
Guessing good that time.
We didn't guess on many. We guessed on like 3.
If we had gotten that One Piece question right, it would have been a perfect score.
Which we've never done. We'd never do another quiz because you got to end on a good note.
Yeah.
So moving on to the news, guys, there's been a potential leak of what could perhaps be the July 2022 PlayStation Plus games. Those games may include Crash Bandicoot 4, It's About Time, Dark Pictures Anthology, The Man of Medan, which I've played and really enjoyed, and then Arcageddon, which is actually going to be released July 5th and is a first-person multiplayer shooter. I think that's a good lineup if that's the case. I think that's fun.
Yeah, I was actually looking up these, I know about Crash Bandicoot and Dark Pictures, but I looked up Arcageddon, and it actually looked kind of cool, and you can play it by yourself. You don't have to play it multiplayer.
Yeah.
So I think that's a pretty decent lineup if that's to be believed.
Yeah, I think so. Next news point, Jake. If a game is on PS Plus Extra or PS Plus Premium and you claim it because you are subscribed to the service and you stay subscribed and then later Sony takes it off of the service, you can no longer continue to play that game for free as opposed to the way that the PS Plus Essential games work. So
that's not surprising.
It's just like streaming games. If they get pulled from the platform, you just can't access them. Unless you buy them.
That's the way that Game Pass works. I mean, it's honestly pretty amazing that the the PS Plus monthly games work that way. Because, every other service, when it leaves the service, you lose your license to it.
Right.
But PS Plus, they do a really awesome job with those monthly games.
Yeah, you maintain that license. It's cool. But just so the listeners know, so if you're there is like some fine detail writing on the games when you look at them. When you are subscribed to these bonus services for PlayStation Plus that just rolled out, that tell you if they are going to be leaving the service and when they're going to be leaving the service. Push Square did a really good job of announcing some games that will be leaving. I know Red Dead Redemption, the first one, and Red Dead Redemption Undead Nightmare will be leaving the service soon. So I think in August. So that's a shame, but makes me wonder if they're doing like something with that. If Rockstar's like, why would it just all of a sudden be leaving? I don't know.
It could just be that Sony only paid for 2 months of it being on. I mean, Red Dead Redemption 2 is still an enormous game.
It's Red Dead 1
would have
though.
To pay a boatload of. Oh, it's Red Dead 1.
Yeah, Red Dead Redemption and Red Dead Redemption Undead Nightmare.
Yeah, I guess we'll just have to keep an eye on this, but it's the same way with Xbox Game Pass. One thing that I do kind of think is kind of annoying about, and maybe I'm wrong about this, but I was browsing the libraries on the store because I was thinking about upgrading my subscription.
Yeah.
And I noticed that I was looking through like the premium tier stuff, so they call it like the classics section. And they have games on there like the fucking BioShock Remastered collection. And I'm like, that's a PS4 game. Why do I need to be a premium subscriber to play this?
Yeah, that's a little weird.
I get the original version of that game was a PS3 version, but this isn't the PS3 version. This is the PS4 version of the game. And there was some other stuff like remasters like that in this list. Now, maybe I'm looking at it weird, but I know I looked at one of them and it was like premium subscription required, which is kind of, to me, it seems kind of shitty.
Yeah, it's a little weird. Good observation, Jake. Square Enix, sorry, I skipped a point because it was highlighted. Square Enix has been working on a new Star Ocean game titled Divine Force. They are expected to have a showcase of the game in a live stream on June 29th. It's been confirmed that the live stream will feature a little more than 8 minutes, including the opening cinematic for the game, the introduction to this game. That's exciting. Star Ocean was a really big game for a long time.
Yeah, people really like Star Ocean games. My understanding is that the recent games people really have not liked, but hopefully this will be a return to form for them because I know a lot of people really like that series.
Agreed. So keep your eyes out for that. And then Dead Cells is getting a large update that improves and adds accessibility options in different difficulty modes. It may have already gotten this update. I'm not sure, but if you're a Dead Cells fan, definitely the game's getting supported still, so that's nice. And there's not really anything to say about that. Jake, you never played Dead Cells, did you?
No, but I was really interested in it, so I don't know. Maybe if I can snag this game on a sale, I might be interested in checking it out.
Same. I think it's part of the extra. I think it's PS Plus extra game.
Oh, really? That's cool.
I think it is. So there's this really strange Twitter account. I don't know if you've heard about it, but it's at insider_WTF. And it actually has a profile picture of Tom DeLonge from Blink, from their video "What's My Age Again," where he has like the big long mullet. And this account has accurately leaked information about the gaming industry at a close, if not 100% accuracy rate. Most of the leaks have been Sony related, but the whole thing regarding Hideo Kojima and Microsoft and his exclusive thing was kind of leaked there a little bit. And the most recent leak, which showed up on the Twitter, was a screenshot of Kratos with this looked like binary code underneath it that could translate to June 30th, 2022. And there's speculation now, because it came from this guy, from this account rather, that there's going to be a state of play for God of War Ragnarok coming on 6/30/2022, which falls on a Thursday, which is when Sony usually does their state of plays. So fasten up if this is true. I'm actually really excited for the new God of War. Like, I'm ready for a AAA God of War game. I'm ready for a new one.
I mean, we'll know by probably Tuesday if
Yeah.
they're doing this. So I'll be really curious to see if that's true. I mean, this account has, like you said, it has been really accurate. So I'll be. It almost seems likely, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, we don't know until we know. But I wanted to at least say that. So you guys can keep your ears peeled. And if you're interested in following that account, if you like PlayStation or into gaming leaks, I mean, that seems like a very reputable source at this point. No one knows who owns the account. I won't be surprised if it's just some fucking bigwig somewhere that's being like, that's part of their, rollout plan is to leak stuff from this account. It wouldn't surprise me just to get hype built. But anyway, Sony rolled out a pretty fun 2+ minute advertisement, which is live action, and it's for the new PlayStation Plus tiers with the tagline, "Why be one thing when you can be anything?" It's laden with PlayStation title references and is a creative, fun watch. If you haven't checked it out, I think you should. You can watch it on the PlayStation blog or go to YouTube. It's actually really, really cool. It's like this guy, and he's going to like the coffee shop, and by the end of the advertisement, like for a tip, he leaves the waitress like one of an Uncharted coin, like one of those, like the logo that spins and stuff. Sony's really good at putting these subtle references in, but they're not so subtle. Like he's feeding like some sort of monster under a door. He goes down into his crazy big attic or a basement, which isn't like really even like makes sense considering the size of his apartment. He has like a closet, and there's like the No Man's Sky or an astronaut uniform in there, and he's just this old guy, and it's like, and there's this voiceover. It's just like, have you ever wanted to do blah 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 blah, and it doesn't overtly talk. It's not like, oh, you can get this and that and this and this and all these tiers, and you can do this and you can do that. It doesn't even really talk about any of that. It's just and at the end it says PlayStation Plus Extra, plus whatever. Very cool the way they're advertising, and it's not so in your face, but it makes me wonder if maybe they were a little more direct in their advertising, that they would do better. I like these cryptic things. I like how they are creative with their advertising, but it's interesting to see their approach. I mean, it appeals to me, but they've already got me. You know what I mean? Like, they've already got me. I don't know. Opinions, Jake?
I don't know. I think it could be an interesting way to kind of drag people in. Just at least all that it really needs to do is have them Google it. You know what I mean? Like if the person Googles PlayStation Plus to see what it is because they saw this interesting commercial, then it kind of did its job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, people like you and I already know what PS Plus is. So like, it doesn't really affect us at all. We can just appreciate the commercial for what it is. But, it's interesting and confusing enough at the same time, and cryptic enough that people might be like, oh, what is this? Like, and they might Google it. Like, have you ever seen an advertisement for a company? Like, for me, a big thing is, if I'm watching MotoGP or something, I might see an advertisement on a motorcycle that like the graphic is really fucking cool. So I might just Google the company because I'm like, what is this company?
Yeah,
because I think this graphic is really cool. Like,
right.
What is it for? And this is basically just an extension of that. It's just marketing. It's a different tactic for sure than just straight up being like, do this and pay this and do this and you get this and blah 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 blah. And there are like methods to that, but at the same time, it's maybe if they're already there because they went through the method of like searching through everything, maybe there won't be so much sticker shock, you know what I mean, when they look at the price. So I don't know.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm fine. I like watching them. They're fun. For those of you guys who don't know, I was a very huge advocate when I finally got into the video game Darkest Dungeon. And although I haven't yet beaten the game, I'm definitely going to revisit it this fall and probably try to beat it. It's just one of those games I want to play in the fall. Just the art style, just like the gothicness of that game is so cool. But there's a new game, and it's being developed by Zen Studios called Circus Electrique. And electric is spelled like electrique, Electrique. And they very, very, very much took a lot from Darkest Dungeon. 4 people in a group, where they're positioned in the line. Certain attributes work, certain don't. They pretty much ripped it off. But it looks pretty cool. And Push Square said that it's essentially a Darkest Dungeon clone, but with circus characters. And there's a 4-minute overview trailer of this game out now. And Zen Studios also made, I believe they made Pinball Arcade. I could look into that. I know they had a pinball series, but I think that's the one where I placed, like, I don't know, very high in the world rankings on the Gorgon table, which is hilarious. You should go check it out because it looks really interesting. And while I'm on my Darkest Dungeon kick, for those who don't know, and maybe you're a gamer and you play on Steam or whatever the other store is, what's that other store, that computer, Epic Game Stores or whatever. I know that Darkest Dungeon 2 has had an early release, one of those early access things. And they are they're following the same plan they did with the first Darkest Dungeon, where they're just releasing the build, getting player feedback, reworking all the game mechanics, getting player feedback, reworking everything until it becomes like this fucking masterpiece. Darkest Dungeon is amazing. The retail version. And I know they had trials and tribulations when they were doing this with the first game. At one point, they broke the game because they took the wrong advice, or they did something, or maybe they made a decision. They made a executive decision as a studio to change the way mechanic worked, and half of the players in early access essentially just started trashing the game before it was even released, and it caused a lot of headache for the studio. Ultimately, it was a good decision, so they're trusting their gut. But what I understand, because I just saw a YouTube video of someone who's been actively playing Darkest Dungeon 2 on early access, is that this game and the latest patch notes for the early access update indicate that they are looking at, the studio, Red Hook Studios, are looking at a February 2023 release date for Darkest Dungeon 2, which is kind of exciting, but it didn't indicate it would be releasing to consoles in February 2023, which is kind of frustrating because, I don't know, I just hope they make it Mac available, because I'm not going to be able to play this game. I know I can play Darkest Dungeon on my Mac. I can do the first one, but I know these developers usually have to jump through hoops to get their games to work on Mac, unfortunately, and I don't know if right out of the gate it's going to be available. So one of the interesting things about Darkest Dungeon 2 that I found out, in the first game, you're traversing a dungeon. So you're going through the catacombs and the dungeon of this mansion, and you're running this upkeep on the manor and all of the hamlet of all these different locations and stuff. I believe, from what I understand, Darkest Dungeon 2, the movement mechanics, you're no longer in a dungeon, but you're in like a carriage. And you're going through like the woods and all these different things, and you run into different enemy types that way, and you fall into traps and you run into things, and then it causes battle scenes. So, and I think it's, from what I understand, again, this is interesting, is in the original Darkest Dungeon, it was like you go into a dungeon and you're just there. I believe that the way they're making the sequel is that it's going to have a kind of Slay the Spire choice mechanic into what path you want to take with your Conestoga wagon or whatever the hell you're in. So how that implements into the gameplay and stuff seems so cool to me. So I don't know how the first game wraps up. My guess is that the whole thing just goes to hell. By the end of the game is just so dismal, and people die all the time, and like it's bad, your characters die. And I think at the end of it, the whole hamlet it's probably bedlam and catches on fire. And I'm guessing Darkest Dungeon 2 is like the characters trying to leave or resettle somewhere else, and it's the voyage. My guess, I don't know because I haven't played it and I haven't watched a lot of shit on it, but I'm so excited. This Circus game looks awesome, Circus Electrique, and even though they've stolen outright the mechanics of Darkest Dungeon, I'm excited for it. And the graphics aren't doing it for me really either, but just the gameplay's so cool. There's something very iconic about the way Darkest Dungeon delivered, man. And Jake, I still highly recommend you play that game, dude. It is so.
I think this looks pretty cool. It almost seems, I know it's circus themed, but it's almost like has like a steampunk aesthetic almost. I don't know if you get what I'm kind of driving at. It reminds me a lot of like SteamWorld Heist or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's very, very interesting.
I think it could be a cool game to find. Yeah, when it comes out. Yeah. Anyways, but Jake, you still need to play Darkest Dungeon. You have to.
It's what I've been hearing.
You're going to lose your shit if you do. All right.
Yeah.
So anyways, Gamescom, a pretty large trade fair show for video games held in Germany. You guys have heard of it before, probably, if you're listening to the podcast. Is set to begin August 24th, 2022, and then August 29th, 2022. Sony has announced that they're not going to be attending the convention. Jeff Keighley, who also hosted the Summer Games Fest, will also be hosting Gamescom. Now, be aware that Jeff Keighley was in Summer Games Fest is where they announced the Last of Us remake. And I believe that's essentially where they did it. So it's interesting that Sony is bowing out of the Gamescom, which they've been a part of in the past. It's kind of a weird step because they had previously announced release dates for Horizon Forbidden West and the Ratchet and Clank: A Rift Apart, and all these different games have been featured at Gamescoms in the previous years. But I feel like they're just going straight state of play now. They haven't taken part in many of these things anymore.
Yeah, because every time they have a booth or an attendance at one of these places, I mean, it's millions and millions of dollars they're spending for this. And what this tells me is that not attending all these conventions in recent years hasn't seriously affected them whatsoever. Yeah. So why do it?
Yeah, it's a good point.
It's one thing if they're like Microsoft or something and they're trying to play catch up or whatever. But Sony has no reason to spend the resources to do this. Now, do I think it would be cool if they were there just because I want to see like announcements and stuff like that? Yeah, sure, whatever. But I can understand like why they're not. Because they don't think that they need these conventions anymore. And that's understandable. If you don't need it, why spend the money?
Why spend the money? Simple as that. It just comes down to ones and zeros, listeners.
Think about it this way. If you could have Sony not go to conventions for 3 years, and because they did that, you get one more high-quality Sony-grade AAA first-party game because of the money that they saved, that's pretty fucking awesome.
Fair enough, yeah.
No, like I said, I do enjoy the spectacle, and I like the announcements and all that stuff, but... yeah, I don't know. It's fine.
Yeah, I'm okay with it too. To be fair, I'm okay with it. Because we're still gonna get our Sony updates. We're gonna get them. We're gonna get our PlayStation game updates. They're gonna give them.
I will admit though, I did watch the the Xbox event that they did last weekend.
Yeah,
and there were some things in that event that made me be like, oh man, I kind of wish that Sony still did these types of presentations.
They're exciting, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're exciting.
I don't know. Continue.
I remember I drove to your house one time to watch one of those PlayStation things.
That was a long time ago. That was like the launch of the I think it was like the launch of the PS4 or something like that. Or the announcement of the PS4 or something. We did that.
We went over and watched it
because we recorded a podcast right after it, right?
Talked about it, yeah. A long time ago. But I mean, yeah, we used to get really jazzed about all that stuff. And I still do, but it's just different time, different place, different era. Anyways, hey, Tony Hawk 1 and 2.
Patient now.
Yeah, fair enough. Tony Hawk 1 and 2 had a really nice re-release. Really well received, and apparently the studio had planned to follow that up with Tony Hawk 3 and 4. It was leaked during an interview with Tony Hawk recently that when Vicarious Visions merged with Activision Blizzard, that the 3 and 4 plans were snuffed out by Activision Blizzard. They just didn't want to do it. So that's kind of disappointing.
It kind of sucks because 3 and 4 were both good games. So I know 1 and 2 are like the legendary classics, but like I played a shitload of Tony Hawk 3 on PS2.
Yeah, 3 was fun.
I think that like it would have been cool for them to do them. I don't know. Like I don't necessarily need like Tony Hawk Underground and shit like that, but like where you're like driving cars and stuff. But like, Yeah, I mean, 3 and 4 would have been a dope way to just like kind of round out the numbered Tony Hawk games. I mean, you don't have to include Tony Hawk 5 because that was a fucking dumpster fire. But like those 4 classic games up through the PS2 generation were good.
They were. It's kind of disappointing we're not going to get them. And this isn't on the news point, but apparently Skate 2 is very, very far along. And so we're going to be getting another Skate game probably pretty soon. We're going to start hearing more and more.
Skate 2, because you're talking about Skate 3?
Whatever the new Skate game is
2.
they're working on. Yeah. Whatever the new one is. 3?
Yeah,
is it 3?
I thought maybe they were doing a remake of Skate 2,
No.
and I was like, oh, okay.
So whatever the latest one is going to be, they've announced that everyone's going apeshit about, all the skaters and all the cool kids.
Skate's awesome. I mean, those games are really fun. They're hard because you have to like actually do the tricks with the sticks and stuff, but they're really fun.
Dude, there's nothing more, well, I take this, there are things more soothing to me, but there's something about the sound of a skateboard just cruising on concrete in all of those games, like Tony Hawk, fucking Skate, and like just I love that
and like
sound, dude.
The sound of the ollie, like your board hitting the concrete, and like
Takes
one of
me
my
back.
favorite things about like I love Skate just rolling around the world. I mean, Tony Hawk was cool too when it was more open. Where you're just like, you don't even care about your score. You're just fucking skating around, just chilling out,
Dude.
just like grinding rails, popping like, kick flips and shit off of like just dumb stuff, just rolling around, keeping a rhythm up and kind of playing it really
doing
zen.
the manuals
Like, there's something
and
really
stuff.
cool about
so
that.
Fun. So good. Yeah, that's what I like the most about the Skate games is you can just open Skate, dude. You can just go.
Yeah.
And just fucking... I'm too old to fucking skateboard, dude. I used to skateboard a little bit.
Yeah.
I was never good. I was good enough to not fall all the time, right? That's about as good as I was. But, man, I do miss, like, just kind of pushing around on a board, man. I miss it. I don't know. But anyways, that's all I got for the news. Let's talk about new games coming up, Jake. We've got on June 28th, Disgaea 3 complete on PS5, PS4, DNF Duel.
That's a 6.
Oh, 6, sorry. Yeah, I don't know. I told you I put more whiskey in this cup than I normally would. Disgaea 6 for PS5 and PS4. DNF Duel, PS5, PS4. Escape Academy, PS5, PS4. Phobia St. Dinfna Hotel. That's a hard... D-I-N-F-N-A. Dinfna Hotel, PS5, PS4, MX vs. ATV Legends, PS5, PS4, Tour de France 2022 on the PS5, PS4, coming June 29th, The Legend of Bum Bo, PS5, PS4, June 30th, Arcade Archives, Thunder Scepter. That's awesome. Thunder Scepter sounds cool. I've never played the game before. I'm sure it's some cool game. Dude, that's a great name. We always rip on game names, but I think when we see a good one, we should also give them credit. Thunder Scepter sounds so cool, dude. Cuphead, The Delicious Last Course, coming out PS4, June 30th. Outriders, World Slayer, PS5, PS4. Rabbids, Party of Legends, PS4, and The Galactic Junkers on PS5. Coming July 1st, we got F122, PS5, PS4, and Instant Sports All-Stars, PS5.
Dude, this is actually a really good week.
Yeah, it really
fucking
is.
Disgaea, DNF Duel is like a huge thing in the fighting game community. MX vs. ATV Legends, Tour de France, freaking Cuphead, Outriders, F122.
Is that DLC for Outriders? Is that what that is?
Yeah. It's like it's the new expansion.
Okay. I wasn't sure what it was.
Dude, honestly, I don't know if it's included with Game Pass at all or whatever, if I'd have to buy it extra, because I played that game on Xbox. If I wasn't playing other shit, I'd probably jump back into Outriders, because that game was really fun.
Really? I know you talked
really
a lot
fun
about it and how it was like better than probably
Way
better than
I
it
thought
deserved
would be.
to be.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. I think that I was going to say something. Let me collect my thoughts here real quick. I'm trying to come up with our closing real quick while I'm on this. Man, come on. Help me out here, bud. Jump. Yeah, all right. Yep. Sorry. I don't want to say it out loud. Yeah, so again, thanks for tuning into the podcast. Jake, is there anything that you want to finish out with? Anything you'd like to add for the listeners before we close out this kind of long show? Dude, our new running time is about an hour and 20 minutes. I hate to say it because it's been nice keeping them kind of brief for the listeners, but
Well,
we've had some news to talk about, and you were gone last episode, so.
No, I want to just say thank you again to LJ for filling in last week, and I'm excited to be back chatting about games. Still recovering a little bit again. Sorry for my nasally kind of mucusy voice, but it is what it is. I'm stoked to try and get through Mass Effect because I got some other stuff that I always like to play, but yeah, I don't know. I'm just excited to be able to play some games.
Are you taking notes on your Mass Effect 2 playthrough or no?
I am a little bit here and there, yeah. Just on like my impressions, like the things I like that they improved, that things that are different, stuff from Mass Effect 1. It's more like a what do I like and don't like about the differences between the first game and the second game, in like mechanically. There's a lot. I mean, there's some stuff about the story. Usually the story I can kind of hang on to that, and I sort of might make points to say like, oh, I want to comment on this part of the story or whatever. Yeah. But generally, like the stuff I take notes on is like are like mechanical things about the game.
Fair enough. There was something for sure I was gonna say. Big shout out to Ryan again, because I really think that this is going to be the way we're going to do the show. Your voice sounds clearer to me on my end, so hopefully it's being recorded clearer. It was always a little gainy, a little overdriven a little bit here and there, but I feel like we dialed it in. In fact, next show we might bring your gain down a little bit and try to maximize it on my end. Just get a clearer signal, but I think it already sounds better than what it's ever sounded. So it's funny because your voice is like really clear now, and you have a weird voice to begin with because of your sinus infection. So this is all that people are going to think this is what you sound like all the time. And it's not. It kind of is, but it's not. But yeah, I think that's all I really wanted to say. We've pretty much covered everything. I don't want to keep the listeners on the hook for too much longer. Thanks to Jeff for writing in. Thanks to the fellow on YouTube. I've already closed it out, so I don't want to risk pronouncing your name wrong again, but thanks for chiming in about Final Fantasy VII. I, as well as you, hope that the Part 2 and Part 3 are also awesome. I can't wait to sink my teeth into the Part 7 remake, the first part of Part 7. I'm real excited for it, and appreciate you writing in. Feel free to write in anytime. We never really take
Are you talking about Final Fantasy VII?
Yeah, the remake. Yeah.
Dude, when you do that, I think what I'll do is I'll jump in and I'll play Intergrade, because I haven't played the Yuffie Intergrade DLC yet. Okay. So that'll be a good time for us to be able to kind of chat about it. I can refresh and play the part that I missed, and yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, and we never really get offended either. I know you said that bringing up the comparison of Last of Us and whatever the hell else I said, comparing that with the Final Fantasy VII Remake was kind of an absurd comparison. Man, I'm not offended by that at all. Like I said on the show last episode, I never played those. I did play through Final Fantasy VII back in the day, the original, but I couldn't tell you the first thing. I know there's a Cloud. I know there's Cloud and Barrett, and I know there's a skyship, I believe, at some point, and I know there's the Chocobos, and man, I know there's some things, and I know there's a Sephiroth. And that's about as far as I could go with it. I don't remember the story whatsoever or what you're trying to do, so I couldn't really speak to it. But happy to hear from you. If you have any other input, feel free to chime in on the YouTube channel. Leave a comment, because we do check those. And I was thinking too, Jake. I don't know if we should do this. Maybe just for listeners. Maybe listeners who don't want to actually partake in the Patreon because it's a monthly $1. I was thinking about just making it open season on the podcast, and maybe we shouldn't. Maybe we should leave it as an exclusive thing, getting the vinyl sticker. But I thought, well, maybe we should sell them for like $3 a piece or something. If you want to just, somehow send us money. I don't know how you would do it. You know what I mean? So we'd have to create a web store or something.
I don't know.
But
you'd almost have to have a web store.
Yeah, the easiest way is a Patreon. So if you want one of these 6 stickers, like Jeff's gonna get soon, if he doesn't have it already, it is very much our logo, and it's a nice vinyl sticker. It'll stick anywhere. $1 a month. And I'm being super generous because before we even get your payment, if you subscribe to our Patreon, I'm sending it out. So here's a pro tip. Honestly, don't rip us off because we think our listeners are cooler than that. You could technically subscribe to the Patreon, have me mail a sticker, and then unsubscribe before you even get charged and get a free sticker out of it. But don't fucking do it because I'll have your name and address. That's all I'm going to say.
And I'll send you a bill for $1.
Yeah. Take your ass to PS This Is Awesome Court, which we'll challenge you in a PlayStation knowledge check. And if you lose in US double.
God, don't do that.
Yeah, we'll probably lose. Anyways, I'm just playing. But seriously, if you guys want to join on the Patreon, we always appreciate it. And I'm surprised we have as many patrons as we do already, to be honest. We're not a very big show. And we have quite a few people that think we put out worthy enough content that they want to give us $1 a month. And that is the plan. Is just for us to build this community. And, now that we're using Discord, Jake, maybe we don't have enough users to really invite people to our Discord, but if you want to check it out, it's just PS This Is Awesome is the user handle. If you want to request a friend on Discord or whatever, I'll add you. I don't know what that means, but I'm trying to think. I don't know. I don't even know how to make servers and stuff there. Have private rooms. It's really quite confusing from my old brain, but it seems like a really powerful tool for free.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
That being said, I'll let you guys go for the day, and I just screwed up our OBS stream because I was talking about Discord and I tried to slide it to look at something, and now your thing is a little screwy, man, and that's on me. The OBS thing. We're integrating OBS with our stream, but yeah. All right. So that's all I got. I'm just resizing this. Okay, we're resized. We're ready to go. Thanks for tuning in to episode 229 of PS This Is Awesome. I'm sorry that I was a little long-winded there. I was just trying to get my thoughts in order. Happy to have you back, Jake. While I really appreciate LJ jumping on the show and love the conversation I had with him, I am back to autopilot. At one point during our show last week, I said, all right, what do you think, Jake? And I was like, fuck, LJ. I felt like an asshole, but I did say that. Anyways, like Judgment, Jump Force, and Joust. P.S. This is awesome.
Awesome.